Trump responded with a heavy hand to what his political core began to treat as internal resistance, right in the middle of the war against Iran. This Friday, April 3rd, 2026, the Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, removed the head of the U.S. Army, General Randy George, and also dismissed two other high-ranking officers, in a move that shook the Pentagon at the most sensitive moment of the military campaign. Reuters and Associated Press confirmed that the change was immediate and without a detailed official explanation. However, there are many reports that many high-ranking American military officers are opposing a U.S. ground invasion of Iran. And that could explain a lot about these dismissals. What happened is straightforward. The White House and the Pentagon replaced the Army's top leadership in the middle of the escalation against Iran. The ones who were dismissed were Randy George, who still had more than a year left in his term, as well as General David Houdini and Major General William Green. In their place, Christopher Lanev took over as interim, a name seen as closer to Hegseth and Trump's political line. The sequence of events points to a political motive. The government removes military chiefs in the middle of a war, does not clearly present the reason, and puts a commander more aligned with the Secretary of Defense in the top post. At war, a change like this doesn't seem routine. It seems like a message, and the message is tough. Anyone not fully on board with the White House's strategy could be removed. The most sensitive point is why, since the end of March, the government has been publicly saying that it could achieve its objectives against Iran without putting troops on the ground. Marco Rubio stated this openly. But at the same time, the U.S. military presence in the region increased, including Army troops and units linked to the 82nd Airborne Division. And when this tension rises, any resistance at the top of the chain of command starts to be seen within the political logic of war as disloyalty to the main plan. In practice, the message being sent is that there are important people holding back, doubting, or trying to impose too much caution in a conflict that Trump wants to lead against and, as he has shown at other times, Trump usually punishes caution when he thinks it gets in the way of his offensive. He replaces, he removes, he reorganizes. How does this affect the war? It affects it because military leaders are not just decorative pieces. They are there to say what is possible, what is risky, and what could be too costly. When these people are removed in the middle of a campaign, it's not just a new signature on documents. A new atmosphere also comes in. Less debate, less restraint, and more automatic alignment. For those watching from the outside, this can also mean that the war is pushing Washington toward increasingly abrupt decisions. There is also growing international fallout. Not by chance, the ousting of Randy George happened amid a new wave of threats from Trump against Iranian infrastructure. By chance, Trump? He didn't act like someone satisfied with the way the war was being conducted. He acted like someone who saw obstacles at home and decided to cut those obstacles off at the top. What happened was the sudden removal of military leaders. And why? Because the White House wants total obedience in a war that has become more dangerous, more tense, and more unpredictable, with plans for a ground invasion being developed and openly put on the table as an option.